So how do you feel about people who cruise in the left lane? They're still passing cars,
But
right?
they're too slow
But you come up behind them
and they don't merge.
and they don't get over.
Oh, that pisses me off.
right? But
Not road rage pissed me off, but I'm
Sure.
like, really?
But I've had people tell me before, they're like, "Well, but I'm still passing cars." I'm like, "But the person behind you is ready to go."
Yeah.
And
just
they're
let
like,
them
"Well,
go get pulled over.
they're going more than the speed." It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You get
Just
over.
get over.
Just courtesy, let them by.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Let jagoffs be jagoffs.
That's it. That's it. On that note,
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Union Fitness Podcast. As always, I am Jared, and with me is the good-looking Kurt Miller.
the ever so young and handsome Curtis Miller with a broken wing. Apparently, I'm a pigeon now. I just got called a pigeon.
You can all call him Kurt the Unicep. He no longer has a biceps.
I got a little. It's hard to tell, but I got a little street cred last week. Tore the bicep tendon. So I wish I could say it was like in a street fight or lifting a car or something like that. But unfortunately, it was moving some equipment for the gym. So we're gonna go under the knife next week. Actually, a couple days after this one will be out, and Jared might even help me get back to normal.
We'll see.
Or past normal. All right.
We'll see.
But so what are we doing today, man? What do we got?
So we have a special guest with us today. If you guys tuned in to our last podcast, you might remember that the one and only Josh Elsass, producer of this wonderful podcast, volunteered himself for some personal training, for a consultation. He has some goals he wants to hit. So welcome, Josh.
Hello, everybody. You're about to see my half-naked body.
Yes.
I mean, we don't have to go that far, but if you want to, we can.
I wore black underwear for just this occasion.
All right, I'm not saying no.
Frilly things.
I'm not saying no. So, like, what we're gonna do right now is, I want to give everybody a little bit of background of what it is that I kind of do here. So my original title when I came in was Director of Personal Training. Although I still do that, it has been upgraded via Todd Hammer to Director of Customer Engagement. And my job is to find the best location in the gym for each individual member that comes in, whether that's just the fitness center or whether that is the unlimited membership with all the classes or whether that's personal training. My job is to get to know them, see what it is they need. Now, when somebody comes in, they're interested in personal training, what I do is I schedule a consultation with them. Sit down one-on-one. We have a meeting for anywhere from 15 to sometimes 45 minutes. And we would just talk about their background, their health history, their hobbies, their goals, what they've done in the past. And we go from there, and I either line them up with a trainer or give them some ideas about how to take care of things on their own. So sometimes with that, people will want starting measurements. I don't get a lot of people that request that. It's something that sometimes some people just, they don't want to know. Some people don't want to know the truth. But the ones who really, really want to get down and dirty and figure out what they need to do, one of the first things they'll always do is take some measurements. And we kind of talked about this in the past before, why it's important to take measurements instead of just the weight on the scale. And that's, for many reasons. But because our body composition is going to change, although our weight may not move a whole lot.
Yeah.
So Josh, we're gonna be weighing him up a little bit or measuring him up, and then we're gonna go from there. So Josh, what I want you to do, since you're here live, I want you to tell me your background, growing up, sports, interests, hobbies, how you got into training and lifting, and what lifting and training has consisted of for you over the past few years.
Yeah, so my background in sports is all hockey based. That was what I played my entire life. And that would be the equivalent of my working out as well through high school. I think headed into my junior year, we got a new hockey coach who had some actual knowledge and wasn't just a dad.
Sure.
And
Shout out to all those dads, though.
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
Somebody's got to do
Yeah.
it.
Gotta
You
give
know
them
what I
love.
mean?
Yeah.
That was always my hope, to have a kid and just be like dunking on how good our hockey team
Right.
is, because it's like a decent. But anyway, so that was the equivalent. But headed into my junior year, this new coach came in. He got us, the high school, to agree to let us work out there. We started working out there on our own, and then one of us approached one of the science teachers, who was also the wrestling coach, about working us out. And so my introduction to weightlifting was through wrestling. So Jared can
Shout out
relate a little bit with that one. But you know, it was 3 days a week in the summer, and that summer transformed me into a completely different person as far as like my physical appearance. I was always a little chubby, little heavy guy, but had, you know, big chests and big hips. That's why I was good at hockey, I guess. And so all of a sudden, you know, I'm a junior in high school and I have a six pack and my acne went away and I
yeah.
had long hair and it was
Time
a
to do
great
work.
day. It was a great time. I peaked.
Yeah.
I peaked.
Did
That was
anyone
the-
call you
June-
Sunshine?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Yeah.
So, you know, 2 steady years of lifting there, and then went to college, maybe lifted a little bit in the gym here and there, but nothing serious. Graduated college, still no lifting, still no gym. And then in 2015, Anastasia and I moved to an apartment that was walking distance from One Selly's Fitness.
Nice.
And that is where the true weightlifting journey began for me. I was just kind of in there working out here and there, kind of doing, you know, old stuff I remembered from hockey and, you know, like some CrossFit stuff, swinging kettlebells, anything that Joe Rogan recommended.
Right.
So not really the most intense training. And then I threw my back out for what I thought was the second time in 2 years. And I remember going to the doctor and they were like, "You're fat."
Mhm.
And I'm like, "No, I hurt myself." They're like, "No, you're fat." And I was like, "Okay, motherfuckers, I'm fat. Watch this." And Anastasia was powerlifting at the time with Ryan, was doing all of her training, and his wife Dana was doing all of her meal prep. And I just went right into that and started doing powerlifting, started eating like really, really clean, really, really healthy. And I don't remember what I was before, but definitely transformed down into like I never got below the 200 range, but definitely was like 219, 216 was kind of where I was sitting.
Yeah.
And felt really good and stopped having back problems.
Mhm.
And, you know, we've talked about this on the show a lot, is like a lot of people think surgery or something is going to fix them, when really just doing a little bit of hard work really
Yeah.
helps
Yeah,
go a long
sometimes-
way.
Oh my God, yeah.
Man, sometimes losing weight and building a little bit of muscle will
Right.
take
Your
care of a
muscles
lot
are
of
there
things.
for a reason.
And
You
I
know
think
what I mean?
I think it was the muscle part
Mhm.
of it.
Sure.
At the end of the day, it
Sure.
was, you know, I had been destroying my hips for years with hockey and my knees, and they weren't really being insulated properly with muscle. They were just, you know, hanging out, and I think
Sure.
that has really made a big difference. So,
Yeah.
but then I did that, and then I did that for a year. Culminated in a meet, undefeated powerlifter at 220. Nobody's ever touched me. Had to retire. USPA asked me to quit. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a big long thing.
They were like, "This dude is just dangerous."
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's hard
I
I
when
mean,
you,
look at him.
when you
Yeah.
walk in and you break state records in your first meet.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a big deal.
Sure.
It's not.
Go out on top.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So yeah, I did that, and then we switched over to this gym, and all my powerlifting friends were still back at Selly's. And then the pandemic happened, and now we're here.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about what happened with you mentally and physically during the pandemic. Like, where was your mind when the gyms were shut down and you couldn't work out? Were you okay with it? Were you like, you know what, I'm going to use this as an opportunity to take a break and not worry about stuff. Or, some people really struggled with that. Including myself, I put on a couple pounds during that time just because I wasn't as active as I was. Like, how did that affect you?
Yeah, I think as far as fitness goes, it really wasn't that dramatic of a difference. I was working out maybe 2 or 3 days a week, and when the pandemic happened, Anastasia bought a kettlebell and some bands, and I'd still say 2 to 3 days a week. And then actually once it got nice and it became the summer, I got into running. And actually I ran my first ever, like, I sucked at running, being a hockey player. That was never anything I was into. But I ran a 5K right before Thanksgiving.
Nice.
Just on my own, just went out, did it.
It wasn't a turkey trot. You just went on your own.
No, man,
That's more impressive.
It was kind of, I had been building up to it. And in the back of my head, I was like, I want to do this 5K because at the time, Anastasia and I were kind of interested in flirting with a triathlon because we're big cyclists. And with the triathlon we wanted to do is actually at North Park, where instead of swimming, you canoe it.
Cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Right. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, I hear they don't let people go in the water for triathlons around here.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of risk in any, like, there's not a big enough body of water that isn't moving to do a proper triathlon here.
Canoes that's cool.
Yeah. So we kind of, that was kind of like a cool thing that we were kind of striving for. We're big cyclists. We do a lot of tour bicycling. So, the long distance riding is always something we enjoyed doing. And all you had to be able to do was run a 5K. And we already had the canoeing and the cycling in the bag. So, like, we're just like, oh, well, this sounds like a cool thing. So that was kind of what I was working on. And then that all came around, and then winter happened, and now I haven't run since.
Sure. Okay. Cool. Now, professionally, do you have more obligations professionally to your career and to your podcast and things like that may be getting in the way of training for you, or no?
You know what? Luckily, 90% of Thoughts from the Bench is run out of this here gym.
Sure.
So,
sure.
So, sneaking in a workout probably isn't the term we want to use.
Right.
But also, like, taking an hour and staying an hour after doing something, or coming in an hour early, is very doable in my world.
Okay, cool. So we can make this happen. Now, ideally, how many days per week would you like to dedicate to this, and how much time maybe per day? Yeah,
so I think I told you guys off air that I could easily give you 2 to 3 workout days and 5 days of cardio.
Okay.
And those can coincide, where it's like run cardio in the morning, workout in the afternoon, bodybuilder style or whatever. But I can give you 5 days of cardio and 3 days of working out.
Okay. Yeah. Now let's dig into goals a little bit.
Sure.
All right. Like, I want you to be as descriptive as you want to be.
Sure. Okay. So I weighed myself right before we started this, and I pooped a lot today. So this is actually pretty light.
Me too, man.
Nice. 236.4 is what I weighed in at. And it's a little heavy for my frame in a lot of ways. And mostly, I'm a guy who, doesn't necessarily, like, hate the way they look by any stretch of the imagination. And I don't, I'm not, like, afraid to take my shirt off to go to a pool or something like that. Sure. But, there's a little flab there. And there wasn't, like, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So when I was powerlifting, you know what I mean? Like, there was still a little bit of a belly, but, like, some abs were showing.
Sure.
And that was the fun part, right?
Yeah.
So I think for me, it's just about getting that number a little bit lower so that when I go to a doctor, they're not talking to me about diabetes. I don't, like, the amount of sugar that's in my diet is, like, in the mornings.
Yeah. Yep.
And then that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, we eat pretty clean. So I don't know how much of it is going to be nutrition based. I mean, a lot of veggies, a lot of meats. My lunch every freaking day is whole wheat muffin, tuna, and avocado with a little bit of cream cheese mixed in. So, like, pretty healthy lunch. I don't normally eat a breakfast. and then dinner is some type of meat and potato or veggie or whatever.
Yeah. So I'm gonna real quick. I'm gonna drop a little bit of science without getting too sciencey.
Drop it.
But a lot of times when I have people just like yourself
Mhm.
come in and talk to me, and they discuss the same things. They want to change their body composition a little bit. They want to lose a little bit of weight. One of the biggest things that they say is that they don't eat breakfast. And a lot of times they're only eating like 2 meals per day. What we have to think of our bodies, we have to think of our bodies like a machine, like let's just use like a fireplace, a furnace. All right. How do you keep a fireplace going? You have to put more wood on it, right? You have to give it fuel so the fire can continue to burn and grow. That's the exact same thing to our body to an extent, right? Like you put too much on there and that fire is going to go out, right? That's kind of represents our body's metabolism. Now, when we're active and working out, if we want the metabolism to continue to work and to continue to burn calories and burn fat, we have to fuel it with the correct amount of food and the right type of foods. So for you, one thing that I'm going to recommend is as we're going forward and once we get back into, if we're doing cardio 5 days a week and weight training 2 to 3 days a week, I'm going to recommend a good balanced breakfast. And that's really going to start kickstarting the body. Now, one thing a lot of other people do, and there's actually a lot of science to prove this, is like intermittent fasting. So with that, sometimes you're getting the same amount of food in the 24-hour period, but you're doing it in a smaller window. So, what a lot of people will do is they'll get up and they'll do their fasted cardio, and then they might not have their first meal until like noon. So their breakfast will be at noon, their lunch will be 3 to 4, and then their dinner will say be like 6 or 7, and then that's it, besides water, until noon the next day. And the theory behind that is you're burning a lot of fat and a lot of calories. And it does work, but it doesn't, you have to buy into it. But either way, I think increasing your calories is going to be something that's going to help a lot.
Sure. Yeah. And as that, if anything, has been the biggest sign of the pandemic was dropping breakfast. And I've been working it back in a little bit. Here and there, trying to just get something in my system to give me a little bit of energy. But yeah, I think that's been the biggest, because you don't have to get up and go to work anymore. You just roll out of bed right across the way.
You were a breakfast guy.
Oh yeah,
And
big breakfast guy.
Okay.
Yeah. Which was that's probably been the biggest change. Now that you're bringing it up, I'm like, yeah, you know what? Because breakfast food is the best food.
Sure.
Says
now
Leslie.
I'm curious, does
Yeah.
that because like you don't eat your breakfast?
Yeah.
Does that cause you to be like hungrier later on at night because you were like low on energy that day?
Not
Does that
really.
cause anything?
Not
I'm just
really.
curious.
That's a good question, though.
I think my body's kind of adjusted to the two meal system at this point. Yeah, no, I don't think so.
One thing that I'm finding to go along with that is, people's routines are completely thrown out of whack now. Where people they may have gotten up, made their breakfast, even if it's like a small like protein shake or yogurt or something, driving to work, working. Where at work you're probably going to be a little more active than if you're at your house.
Yeah.
Right. Because at your house, okay, maybe you're in your office, and then you go to the bathroom. And then maybe you go downstairs and like grab something to eat. You're confined to this area. And unless you're going out and about and going for walks and stuff like that, you're not getting a lot of activity, or I'll even say like steps in,
Yeah.
You gotta stay active. And I think when people were actually driving into work, they were much more active in that routine every single day. So that kind of goes hand in hand. And like you said, sometimes not eating in the morning will cause people to eat later at night. And sometimes now that a lot of people are working from home, they're waking up later and then they're going to bed later, you know? So that's causing a little bit of a problem right there, because now a lot of our hormones are changing in our body, which changes our appetite and things like that, So sometimes what I've recommended to people is keep the same like sleep times, whether they're going into the office or working from home.
Yeah.
You know, if
No,
you're
smart.
if you're used to getting up at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m., do it even on your days off. And this is something I need to do as well. You know, I made this decision last week, so that goes hand in hand.
So Josh, what do like weekends look like for you? Is that kind of like a free for all? You just go kind of
It's
eat and
busy.
drink and do what you want? Or
It's
is that...
busy. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, we have a pretty active lifestyle where we're, you know, out with friends a lot on the weekends or going somewhere or doing something. Also because of Thoughts from the Bench and my job, I'm drinking more than I want to.
Okay.
You know, we
and
do
that's
it
tough when you're around it.
right.
You know,
Mhm.
Well, also we do this show called Two Beers Deep, in which, you know, so we drink on Thursdays, and now actually I'll be stepping up and helping out with some brewery review tours,
oh, nice.
which will be like a Saturday of just going to drink beer.
Yeah.
So, you know, as far as weekends go, definitely closer to cheat days, cheat meals, that kind of vibe than it is like, you know, 7 days a week strict diet.
Sure.
that
Yeah,
kind
so I
of
think
thing.
something we'll have to keep in mind kind of moving forward, especially if you're going to be doing like brewery tours
Yeah.
and stuff, is, you know, beer, like alcohol in general, actually has a lot of calories, and we don't
Right.
really ever count it.
Right.
People are like, oh, I eat super healthy on the weekend, and then they have, you know, 8
Plus-
or 9 beers, and they're like, I don't understand what's going on.
Right.
You know, that's a decent amount.
Right.
So I think something that we'll just kind of have to keep aware of is, you know, if you're starting to do that stuff, what the eating then has to change and look like through that day, so that you're not like overfeeding yourself just based on the beer you're drinking.
Right.
And one thing I've never done, and I've told all my clients this, like, we're all human, and part of life is getting to enjoy yourself.
Mhm.
And if you can't, then that's part of the problem right there. So I would never tell somebody to not go out on the weekend,
Yep.
to not have good food, to not enjoy a couple drinks. But there's a way you do it. You know, and it's all on us, or it's all on you, the individual who's doing it,
Mhm.
and accountability. You know
For
what
sure.
I mean? And you just got to ask yourself, like, when you're sitting there and you're like a beer or two in, and you break the seal and you got to go to the bathroom, you look at yourself in the mirror and you say, like, how bad do I really want to be better right now? Like, is me getting this other drink, like, how is that going to affect the rest of my decisions for the rest of the weekend?
Yeah.
And, you know, that's, you know, sometimes just a little bit of self-talk goes a long way.
Or you're 4 or 5 drinks in, you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, I'm not going to eat that whole pizza. I'm telling you, I'm not going to eat it.
And then it happens because you're 5 beers deep, you know?
Yeah, and you know, that's definitely part of my current lifestyle is 4 or 5 beers deep in a whole pizza. I mean, that's not uncommon.
And, you know, this isn't this is a normal thing with most
Mhm.
people, is the fact that during the week is good.
Yeah.
I can't, 90% of the people I talk to about this, they tell me what their during the week kind of schedule is, and it's like spot on.
Mhm.
Spot on. So they're making up all this ground, right? We're going in this direction during the week. And then all of a sudden you have that like 1 or 2 days on the weekend, and now we're almost back to where we started. So we kind of just erase what we did. Whereas if we just made a couple of approaches,
Just small
small stuff,
Yeah,
small stuff, you know what I mean? So that's not that big of a deal. Now, one thing that you touched on when you were talking about your body weight, I think sometimes people get this big number in their mind, this big goal,
Oh, sure, no.
and it becomes very,
You know,
Oh, sure.
I've been fat for a long time, and I think truly the not to cut you off, but I think the powerlifting thing really educated me. You know, I actually ended up weighing more, I think, when I was done with the powerlifting,
and you're
But-
leaner.
but felt way better.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
felt
for
a
sure,
million
for
times
sure.
Can't go wrong getting strong.
Right.
Oh, heard
right.
that. Now, so like even saying I want to lose 10 pounds,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's not that crazy of a goal. But if we think about it instantly, if we think about 10 pounds and we have that number 10 in our head, it's going to be a little bit more challenging than if we said, I want to lose 1 pound a week
Mm-hmm.
or 1 pound every other week. Then we constantly are seeing those results, right? We're getting that instant feedback and gratification. And now we're probably a little more likely to stay on track and continue to push. Whereas like if you say, I want to lose 10 pounds in a month,
Yeah.
which I've had a lot of people do, which is not unrealistic. It's just very hard. And then that month comes and you don't see those 10 pounds, man, now we're kind of bummed. You know what I mean? So,
and Curtis, you're spot on, because definitely when I was doing the powerlifting thing, you know, my shirt said 198 on the back, and that was hopeful. You know what I mean? Or 180, I think it said, or whatever it was. And, you know, we were laughing the entire time because, like, I'd wear the shirt on training days and everybody like whatever it was. And I'd be like, yeah, no, not going to happen.
Jared wants to be 181 too.
Yeah. I mean,
I tried before,
going
man.
the other way.
I tried to get up to 165. It didn't work.
Yeah.
Hey, there's still hope, bud.
No, and yeah,
Thanks, man.
The number on the scale, like, I know that it said, like I said, you know, that a doctor isn't talking to me about diabetes, but at the same point in time, the number on the scale is far less important to me.
Sure.
Other than the fact that I almost couldn't go ziplining a few weekends ago.
Yeah.
That was like a gut check vibe, but I was like,
yeah.
I was like sitting there and I'm like, I'm the fucking best looking one here. And they're letting this guy get on.
Yeah.
And like, all right, just because he's skinny doesn't mean he's all right. You know?
Man, you would think that they would be able to upgrade this equipment.
No.
You know?
When you get on it
Yeah.
and you're one of a guy like me or you,
Yeah.
like, and you feel that thing dip for the first
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
you're like, oh.
Yeah. Now I get it. Yeah. Now I get it.
Yeah.
All right.
Because it's all weight.
Sure.
So, like, you know, the heavier you are, the faster you go on those
Right.
things.
Right.
And this poor little girl, she couldn't have weighed 100 pounds soaking wet. And she's like one of the guides, and she's like, you know, 5 foot. I mean, she was tiny. And here comes me fucking cannonballing it.
Just blasting. Yeah. She probably almost got stuck.
Well,
you
we
know?
both went in the air. That's
Yeah.
how.
Oh,
Yeah,
gotcha.
that's
Yeah.
how it went.
Yeah.
But
Cool. So we got some goals,
Yeah.
right? Now let's talk about you know, obviously a majority of your training in the past has been powerlifting based.
sure.
Powerlifting's great,
Yep.
but it might not be powerlifting specific might not be suited for what you're looking for right now.
Sure.
You're cool with that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I hate deadlifts.
Okay.
I hate deadlifting.
This podcast is over. It's over.
Can we see a
We're
fist
not
fight?
doing this.
Now here's the thing. We can incorporate powerlifting movements, but we have to take into consideration, you know, what's our overall goal? What do we need to do with those movements in order to suit what it is we're trying to accomplish? So like squatting, we don't have to do a straight bar competition style
Yeah.
squat. If you like to, sure. We'll manipulate rest periods. We will manipulate the sets and rep scheme, things like that. But you don't have to straight bar back squat. You don't have to straight bar bench press. Although I know you seem like a man who likes to bench press.
No. I don't like any of the movements except for squat.
So
And
why did you power lift?
Because everybody else was doing it.
Okay.
When your friends are doing it.
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
you know, all my buds were doing it, and I was like, all right, here
So
we
do you
go.
want to go about this without doing powerlifting specific? Like,
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, I'd rather not.
Okay.
I'd
That's
rather
fine.
have something completely different.
We can certainly do
awesome.
that. Look, I'm going to recommend, and I don't want to use this term because it's not, it would be a little different, but like CrossFit style training. You know what I mean? So more so like circuit training.
Oh,
So,
no.
Um,
Oh, here comes the cardio.
no. So all right. So if I had a whiteboard behind me, I
Yeah.
would write this down. But essentially, when you're designing a program, everything comes in stages and steps. All right. So for you, what I would recommend is starting with a dynamic warm up.
Sure.
Now that warm up, for some people, they just like walking on the treadmill.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool, but I think doing a few exercises, kind of like 3 rounds of 3 exercises that are going to essentially activate the muscle groups that you're going to use in that session.
Sure.
So let's say that you're going to start with a deadlift as your main movement because you
Okay.
hate deadlifting.
Yeah.
Then we're going to pick 3 exercises
Mm-hmm.
that are going to activate all the muscle groups that we're going to do for a deadlift. We're going to do them all, back to back to back. Very short rest period. That's going to get your heart rate up. That's going to get the muscles warm, ready for the main movement.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for that main movement, maybe we'll leave it by itself or maybe we'll pair it with something else. But we're going to fix those rest periods based on your goals. So
Sure.
since your goals are to get a little bit leaner, our rest periods are going to be a little shorter than if you were training for powerlifting.
Yeah.
Powerlifting, we're talking like 3 to 5 minutes. Something like this.
I was never. once I was warm, I wanted to go.
You were ready to go.
And it was always like a big thing on max days or test days where like I just wanted to go. I wanted to burn through that because I felt warm, muscles were moving, like I just wanted to keep going.
Sure. Yeah. So this would kind of be the same thing. We're keeping rest periods like 90-ish seconds.
Sure.
To maybe even 60 seconds as we get going. But starting out with a very short rest period like that is a challenge straight out of the gate, you know? So then we would get into kind of supersetting different exercises. These are more of our accessory movements. Now, we can pair 2 together, we can pair 3 together, 4 together. It really depends on the time you have to dedicate to each session. A good way to save time is to pair exercise together.
Sure.
Now, this is where we're doing high reps.
Yeah.
We're doing 12, 15, sometimes even 20 on back-to-back exercises. Again, rest period's really low. Then we're going to get to the end. Now we're going to get into a little bit of metabolic work. All right. This is where we finish. It's almost like a finisher. Our main goal is those calories. This is where we're talking about interval style training, whether it's med ball work, whether it's kettlebell work, maybe it's intervals on the rower or the air bike or something like that. So yeah, the C word a little bit.
The cardio I'm not afraid of when it's on its own.
Sure.
It's
paired.
Yeah, like it's the do 20 kettlebell swings and then do a lap, and I'm like ready to puke.
Yeah. I'm not gonna do that to you.
Thank you. All right.
I mean, Jared might.
All right.
Well, I probably, maybe.
Yeah. So that's that would kind of be the typical layout right there,
Yeah.
So we're still getting strength training. We're still getting, we're still working hypertrophy, and we're burning fat and calories, all in one workout. Now, on the other days, the cardio on your own, that can come in the simplest form.
Yeah.
Walking, biking. You got a bike, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The weather's perfect for biking.
Run?
Running.
Okay, cool.
If you want to get back into running again, that's always a nice challenge.
Skipping.
I do have a jump rope too at home.
Perfect.
Yes.
Yep.
Jump
Okay.
rope is
Perfect.
All right.
fantastic.
I just sealed my fate. Did everybody see that?
Did you ever see a Rocky movie where he was not jacked?
Right.
Yeah.
He's just skipping rope the whole time.
Yeah.
Also, he fought in the heavyweight division, and I'm pretty sure he only weighed like 170 pounds for those movies or something. Like,
I think he was lighter.
Was he?
Yeah, I think he was like 5'6", and I want to say he was like 160. Yeah.
Thanks, Rocky.
Yeah.
Giving me hope. Anyway,
but anyway,
back to Josh.
Jump roping, like any form of cardio or anything like that.
Yeah.
Walking, cycling, jump roping, whatever you want. Just I would try to get out of the gym.
Yeah.
It's crazy because I see people, it's so nice outside.
Right.
And people come in and they'll scan in and they'll jump on the treadmill. And I'm like, it's awesome. It's awesome that they're coming in here and they're putting in the work like that. But there's just something about getting outdoors, putting your music in and seeing the scenery, man, that just motivates you a lot. So.
Yeah.
Can I ask for an additional piece of the variety here, since we are a Union Fitness podcast? Once a month, as part of my training, I'd like to do one of the classes here.
Love it.
Yep.
So if we could program for that.
You're in.
Awesome.
Yeah, we could throw that in. And everybody listening, keep in mind, even if you have not been here, you can come in and take a class for free.
Yep.
Any of the classes, yoga, cardio lab, boot camp, powerful, anything like that. If you want to try the gym out for the day, that's on us too. So keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, and I'll be reporting back to everybody.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on like body weight movements? Is that something that you want to be good at?
Love it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yoga, when we first switched over here, yoga was a big part of what I was doing regularly. Haley was my yogi, and
awesome.
We had a really good thing going. I was going sometimes 2 times a week and was really feeling good. So
now you bring up a great point, and we talked about this when Ashley was here. Sometimes the mindfulness is such a missed component of wellness. And when I was doing yoga years ago, I was doing it twice a week. and I was sleeping so well. I could put
Mm.
myself to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
It was like I would hypnotize myself and just go to sleep.
Yeah, I think you've talked about that on this podcast.
When I woke up, I didn't remember falling asleep. And you want to talk about feeling good the next day and
Oh,
being
yeah.
motivated, that just changes your whole perspective on things daily. So that would be another good thing for you to get back into, even if it's once a week.
Sure.
Maybe now I know you're busy on weekends, so that might not be the best.
Well,
but,
if there's a 6 a.m. class, I'm there.
well, there is on Friday.
Okay.
Friday, 6 a.m. with Ashley, actually.
Is
This
it?
might be a
Yeah.
little hungover for it.
Hey, no better time to do yoga,
That's
right?
it.
Right,
That's
I
it.
guess. Sweat it out.
So yeah, keep in mind that when your goals are to be better looking or be better feeling or be stronger, it's so much more than what you're doing during your workouts. That's a small percentage of the big picture. The real progress comes when you leave the gym or before you come to the gym. How you're sleeping, hydrating,
Mhm.
nutrition, stress, huge one, man. Huge one. My eye's been twitching for like 2 weeks just because of like everything I have going on. I've
Yeah.
never had that before. And I asked a couple people and they're like, yeah, man, it's because you have a lot on your plate right now. And it all adds up. So what you do outside of your training sessions, you could have the best program laying right in front of you and you could do every single exercise perfectly. But if you don't have everything else lined up in your life, you're gonna be very limited, So that's a big key. What else we got for him?
I don't know. So we touched on his goals.
Yep.
We touched on what he wants to do like through the week during his sessions.
Yep.
I don't know, Josh, do you feel like we're missing anything you want to touch on? Like anything else you want to kind of
Yeah,
let us know
yeah.
about?
So what are some of your expectations as far as like, do you have a time frame? Do you what are you thinking? You got any big weddings coming up that you're gonna be a part of?
No, I think it's just lifestyle change isn't the right word because I already lived it once. It's
Mhm.
just getting back to it.
Mhm.
Sure.
I think is probably the best way to put it.
Okay.
And I thought, with everything we're doing here, it'd be cool to just, make it as part of content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's do this. Going forward, we have all the information we need from him. A majority of it. Have you had any major injuries?
No.
Do you have any illnesses?
No.
Are you allergic to anything? No. I'm just
Apples.
kidding. Apples?
Yeah.
Dude, that sucks.
I
It's
know.
like apples are so good.
Yeah.
All right. So how's your sleep?
It depends, man.
Yeah?
It depends. I'm a very active sleeper. So,
Okay.
some nights I can go out and I, wake up and I'm like, holy cow, I don't remember falling asleep. And then
Yeah.
there's other nights where it's like, it's up all night kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. So what we're gonna do is Jared and I are gonna sit down
Yeah.
and we're gonna put a program together for you.
Great.
And then we're gonna come on the next episode
Yep.
and we are gonna discuss the whole program.
Great.
And then that'll be
Sweet.
our go period. And then we're gonna do check-ins.
Yep.
We're gonna do check-ins every episode.
Now we still have to take some measurements from
Measurements,
him.
We
Yes.
do.
Yep.
We do have to take some measurements. So we're gonna
That'll
pop
be
them off.
important.
Now, there's different ways you can do measurements. The sites that I believe are the most beneficial are chest, waist, hips, and then sometimes thigh, right? Waist and hips are different. Waist is actually considered the smallest part of your torso,
Mhm.
all right? The narrowest part of your torso. Hips are the largest part of your torso. So that's usually a butt measurement. And then chest, of course, is with arms up and then relaxed. Now I'm gonna show you when we do this something that a lot of people do wrong when they take measurements. Well, actually two things, and that is pulling the tape measure too tight or not pulling it tight enough, as well as letting the other person kind of hold their breath.
Mhm.
I mean, that can be inches difference. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So you want to do it as they take a breath, and you actually want to check the site. You want to do like 2 measurements per each site, at least 2 to 3. So we'll go ahead and do that.
My abs look good, yeah?
Yeah.
dude.
I gotta feel.
Yeah, you look at the chest hair right there.
Well,
That's
it's
what
an
does it.
eagle.
The eagle.
It's a flying eagle.
I'm just
All
a
right.
pigeon. This man's an eagle. All right, so this is
All right.
this is what we're gonna do. We are only gonna need this for the thigh, but I want to show this real quick because
Sure.
there's a huge difference. Now, notice how like your arm is much bigger up here than it is down here.
Mm-hmm.
What a lot of people will do is they'll take the measurement, the circumference too low,
Oh.
but then next time they go to test, they'll do it up
There.
higher,
Mhm.
right? So what we need to do is take the center of the arm
Yeah.
down to the elbow.
Okay.
So put your arm straight down.
Like that.
Yep. So we're going here to right about there. And then we're going to take half of that. All right. And then we would take the arm measurement. So we're not doing the arm.
It said 24 though.
I think it said 22, but yeah.
24-inch pythons, brother.
I'm gonna agree
Yeah, that's what happened.
All
because
right,
he's
so,
editing this later.
Yeah.
all right, so face that way.
Yes.
All right. So on this tape measure, there's a notch that you actually put the end of the tape in. It is designed that
Oh.
way. And then there's a little button that actually just self tightens it up.
Cool.
All right.
Oh.
So that way you can't really over tighten it. So
Okay.
That was about the size of my thigh.
was it?
Oh, we're going this way. You
All right,
okay?
arms up.
Yep.
Arms up. And now what I want you to do is put that on the largest part of your chest.
That. You want it
Down lower. Yep.
Like boobies.
Yep. Right on the boobies.
Boobies.
All right. Cool. Now arms down.
Yep.
All right, what we got?
All right. Now take a breath in and then exhale. We got 45 and a quarter, Jared.
All right.
Now, if I was a newbie,
Mm-hmm.
I would have taken that 2 to 3 times, right? Just to double check.
Sure.
But when you've been doing it as long as I have, you know what
I
I mean?
heard that about you.
You know?
You love measuring naked dudes.
I do.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard.
Just dudes. All right, so now we're going to do the waist. So
Yeah.
stand, look at me real quick.
Yeah.
I'm
All right, so-
uncomfortable.
Arms straight down. Arms straight down. So you can see, Jared, like right here
Yep.
is where we're going with the waist.
Mhm.
All right, Josh. So now, this thing is made for left-handed people. I just noticed that.
Nice.
All right, arms up.
He's doing it with a ripped bicep, people. I mean, it is impressive.
Captain Uniceps over
Wow.
All right, so take a breath and exhale. All right, Jared, 42 and a quarter.
here. All right.
So now, you're going to do it on the booty.
Yeah.
Now, watch out for that.
Do you need it lower on the booty or?
Just the largest,
Okay.
actually, yeah, leave it right there.
Use
Okay,
your
sure.
camera.
Actually, a little higher.
A little higher. Go ahead.
Yep. All right, cool. So we're going 45 and a quarter. Now, keep in mind, if you're a true professional,
That if I was in a rap song, I would be an ideal.
yeah.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say
Yeah.
was if I were a true professional taking a measurement like that, I would never take it from the front. But since it's Josh, we're good.
Yeah.
I would take it from the
Could have
side.
let me fluff up
You're
before.
right. That's what I thought I was doing for you. All right. So we got chest, we got
That's how we
waist,
just coddled it.
We
for
got-
you.
Yeah, like held it. I don't know, something.
we got hips,
Yeah.
and now we're gonna get the thigh.
Oh,
So
yeah.
remember that measurement we talked about?
Oh.
So we're going from basically like the center of where the hip
Yeah,
would
the
be.
hip bone.
Yep.
This is the measurement.
This
This
is the
is
one.
This is the
the
one.
thing when we care
This is
about
the
it.
one. I was golfing this weekend, and one of the guys who'd never met me before goes, "Oh, he's played hockey." That's all he said.
Come on, man. There we go. All right. Now, what I want you to do, I want you to stand on that leg. Good. Now, both legs. Both.
Okay.
Stand normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you're leaning off of it,
Oh, shit.
it'll read different. And the same thing, if you're leaning on it, it'll read
Yeah.
different. So just relaxed. All right. No flexing. We're looking at 25. 25.
25.
Thighs are bigger than everybody else's.
Now,
eyes.
get your ass dressed.
All right,
All right, get dressed. All right, so we have our starting measurements.
Hang on a second.
So we got our starting measurements. Chest, 40.
I wasn't recording. Just kidding.
So we have our starting measurements. Chest, 45 and a quarter.
Yeah.
Waist, 42 and a quarter. Hips, 45 and a quarter. This is like a Sir Mix-a-Lot song.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm
an ideal.
And then we got the
Partner.
right thigh, which always remember to measure the correct side, right? Because right and left could be completely different.
Mhm.
So
Sure.
mark which one you're measuring.
Sure.
Right thigh is 25 inches. All right.
That's big.
Rolling
yeah.
on
Yeah.
25s,
Huge.
boy.
Yeah, bigger than my
Huge.
rims on my truck.
Yeah.
This guy
Right.
plays hockey.
Yeah. So now, what we're going to do going forward, like I said, we are going to set up this program. And then we're going to do, I would say, a monthly measurement check-in.
Cool.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Because
be
it-
in my underwear a lot. For
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah. So monthly measurement check-in. And he has his weight. So we'll go off of that as well.
Yep.
And I'm not big on measuring daily for something like this. I mean,
Mhm.
some people do. I know a lot of really good, like, nutrition, body composition experts that have people weigh
Sure.
sometimes twice a day. But for a majority of people, they get frustrated. You know what I mean? So we're gonna do. If you want to do it weekly, we can.
No, I
Okay.
don't think that's necessary.
Okay, cool. So we'll do that and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to? We could do it every time we do a podcast, like just the two of
Yeah,
us
let's
do a
do it.
podcast, or we could do it every other podcast. You're on
Well,
with us.
if it's gonna be once a month check-in, we'll do it every other.
Okay.
Then.
Perfect.
All right, let's do that.
All right, man.
Cool, man. So I hope you guys got a little bit of insight about how we roll here. And sometimes the consultations don't typically take that long, but since it's our
talking through it.
good friend Josh, we're having fun and we're figuring things out on the fly, and
And he's shirtless.
he's looking great right now. So look at that, look at that 24-inch Python. All right,
At least
so,
mine's attached.
other one is. Give me on
Cut the
screen.
tape. Cut the tape.
Yeah, well, I have tattoos on my other ones.
Oh, that's
Suck
way
that.
cooler. Look at Jared. Look at Jared.
Mm.
Yeah,
All right, cut
that's not
this.
fair.
We're
All
out of
right.
here, guys.
That's right.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you guys soon.
Later, skaters.